This amateur radio roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Well, hey guys, welcome. It's Tuesday, October 17th, and I'm working in the studio by myself tonight. I need about 4 or 5 different arms. Kathy's gone. I don't even know if she's in a chat room. Anybody see Kathy in a chat room? She's in North Carolina over there at the house in the Smokies, and you know, I'm stuck here in the studio. But anyway, Walter typically helps me when Kathy's not able to, and Walter's out of town, so man, we're gonna make it though. We got a great show, a fun show tonight, and this is a special show tonight because we got a new member of our cast. Mr. MFJ himself, Martin Jew, is going to be with us now and going to be with us regularly. And let me just make a couple announcements. If you're listening on shortwave radio, WBCQ, on 5130, you can go to w5kub.com on the internet, and you can watch the show. And for everybody there in the chat room, I'd like for you to click on that Facebook link up at the top of the page where it says Facebook and join our ham radio Facebook group. It's all about the show, and it's a ham radio place. You put your ham radio questions in or pictures, whatever you want to do. I need to make one special announcement. A lot of people ask, they send me a friend request for Facebook. Well, I use my personal Facebook almost very little, and it's only for kind of immediate family. And I made a couple people upset that I didn't, you know, make them friends in my personal Facebook group. But we've got about 6,000 members in this group, and this is where I hang out all the time, and this is where you'll find me. So don't be upset if I didn't friend you on my personal Facebook group. Well, let's jump over real quick. Man, there's a lot of people talking here about Katie and her new look, and I think we need to get to the bottom of this. So I'm gonna jump over to Katie here real quick. If I can find the right button, I think I almost got it. Here we go, and let me bring Katie in. Hey, Katie, what's going on, Katie?
Hey, I am back. We're back from Scotland and back home here in the shack, and no, I did not cut my hair. It's very dry here already, and I had terrible static in my face, and I thought I could either pull it up or I can sit and try to pull it out of my face the whole time we're talking. So, see, still got the hair.
All right. Well, you know, with your contract, you know, you can't cut your hair without coming to us first and talking about it, you know, because you are a key person on the show here, and everybody knows they come to the show for you, Katie. So
well, I have the same contract with my husband. I can't cut it any shorter at this point.
Okay, well, good. He's got good taste here. Cass says we like your look too, Tom. Okay, they like me too. Okay, well, okay. Hey, great. Hey, just give us a 1-minute recap. I think you wanted to just say hi to guys in Scotland, and I don't know if anybody's watching tonight, but did you have a pretty good trip?
We had a fantastic trip, and we got to visit all around. We started off in England. We went up to York and hung out with Robin, G1MHU, and Ruth, 2ECHO0MHU, and then up to Edinburgh, all around the Highlands. We saw lots and lots of castles and really neat places. We went to Culloden. For anybody who's into history, that was a really sobering place to visit. And then kind of after we went over to the Isle of Skye and Mull, then we headed over to Stirling, and that's when we went and visited with the Stirling Ham Club. And I wanted to say thank you again to them for hosting us. We had such a great time, and particularly I want to thank Billy McFarland, GM0OBX. He was kind of the instigator of getting us to come visit, and he was, I called him our host, but he, along with a club of Gulf Mike, let me make sure I get their call sign right, Gulf Mike 6 November X-Ray, they have a fantastic club station. What a great building once we found it. It would have been easier if we went in the daytime, but they were great. They even gave my mom a cup and a mug, and we ended up going home with some cookies, which were really too good. And but we had a lot of fun with them and really appreciated their hospitality. That's not their normal club night. but they had quite a few people that came out that evening so they could visit with us Yanks. And just wanted to say thank you to all of you guys again. We had a wonderful time and definitely hope to visit again, and highly recommend anybody who's going to the UK and going towards Sterling, then you want to get in touch with them and go visit that club, because what a great building they have.
That's great. Now, Katie,
oh,
I'm watching your cat there. Your cat was sending CW. I saw that a minute ago.
I just saw in the chat room, Dale says she's getting upstaged.
Yeah.
That's Peekaboo. She was a rescue. We found her when she was about a month old, and she actually grew up because I was working down here in the shack at the time. So she first grew up right here in the shack. So she's really a kitty. And Andy, we also have actually I have 9 cats right now.
9. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, look. Hey, we enjoyed talking to you in Scotland, and it was great seeing all the people there at the club, and. We've designated you our international roaming reporter. So where are you going next?
Well, next I'm going to Denver, so I don't know that counts for international.
That doesn't count, but we'll take it.
Our next trip for next year for our anniversary. Not sure where we're going yet.
We'll take it anyway. Well,
yeah,
Katie,
for sure.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for jumping in here and giving us a report on Scotland, and we're glad to have you back.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back. And Martin, it's wonderful to have you join us on the show here. And it's always fun to listen to everything you have to say. So I'm really glad you're going to be part of the show. And I think it'll be wonderful that people have access to you for all that knowledge you carry around. It'll be a lot of fun to have you here with us.
Well, that's for sure. All right. Well, let's go to Martin here real quick, and let's just bring Martin in here, and let's talk with Martin a little bit. And guys, you know, we're so happy. We're so happy tonight to have Martin join us here. Boy, he's on our team. And Martin brings about 150 years experience with him. You know, and look at all those radios back there. You add up all those radios, that's 150 years experience back there. I guarantee you.
At least 150 years. And it's good to see you, Kathy, and I enjoy hearing about your trip, and I hope you have a great trip to Denver.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I just want to just tell everybody out there watching tonight that we're going to be developing kind of Martin's segment over the next few weeks on how this thing is going to work. Now, Martin's going to be with us as much as he can, and but you know, we don't want to make this an MFJ customer service type deal. If you got a customer service question or a suggestion or whatever, call customer service or send them an email. And Martin, I know Martin will be anxious to, and he will see your message. So, but Martin is here to bring in a lot of ham experience and a lot of knowledge and some ham radio humor. Let me tell you, he's got some stories if you haven't heard the stories. And let me tell you, this guy, he's a know-it-all. He knows it all, and I'm truthful when I say that. Martin is the guy. So, Martin, welcome again. Welcome, and thanks so much for taking your time off and being part of us here.
Oh, I'm always enjoy being here, and I'm not sure if I should take know-it-all as a compliment.
Yeah, I would. I would take it as a compliment for sure. I'm trying to make some picture adjustments here a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's better right there. Okay. Okay. Well, hey, Martin. Tonight we're going to talk about our first station. We're going to talk about our first contacts. So we're going to get into some old stuff here.
Okay, that sounds good. It fits me perfectly.
And I got an email from my first contact. He contacted me today on email. He's getting up there in age, quite a bit higher than me and you. But he contacted me today through email with some info, and I reminded him about the show tonight. So I don't know if he'll be on here or not in a chat room, but he was my first contact. That's WA5AVO, Bill Browder. So I've asked everybody in the chat room to keep an eye out for him, and if he shows up, somebody get my attention. But Martin, when let's talk, man. When did you get your license?
I got my novice license, I think it was in September of 1960, which makes that 57 years ago. Long time. You know, you said your first contact was a WA5.
Yeah.
But they didn't have WAs back then.
Uh-huh.
They were still in the K5. That was right after the W's. You know, they had W, a number, and 2 letters. Well, that was even earlier than that. It started off with a number and a letter, 2 letters.
Well, I know that, see, I got my license in '64. I don't remember the month like you do. You got a great memory. I just remember '64. And you're right, we were like WAs then, and my first contact was a WA5A. Of course, I was a WA5K. But now, did they put an N in your K call? What happened here? I lost. Are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, we lost your picture, Martin. Oh, let me see. I might have done that. Let me see. There we go. Now you're back. You're back. Okay. I don't know what happened.
We all had KN5 FLU, and once I got my general, or back then it was the conditional license. I didn't have to travel from Hollandale, Mississippi, down to New Orleans, which was 300 miles away. So I got my conditional license, which was like our VEC now, and dropped the N. And this is my original call, except for the N. And I have a cigar box that's full of my original QSL cards that I got.
Well, that's cool. I got a bunch of mine too, and over the years, I've I put tape on the back of them and stuck them on the wall. They look pretty messy, but I still got them. But you know, a conditional license. I lived only 30 miles from Memphis, so yeah, I had to go to the FCC and take it. They shouldn't do that to a 16-year-old that's never driven out of town before, a town of 900 people. You know, I drove to Memphis to take my test.
Did they have FCC office back in 1960 in Memphis?
I don't know. I took mine in '64. It was at the old post office building down on Front Street.
Okay, and, yeah, you have a W4, and I have a.
Well, I'm WA. I was a WN5, but I dropped the N out of the A out of my call here 4 or 5 years ago.
You were in Arkansas. That's why you had a 5.
Yeah, that's why I had it. Yeah. And of course, people got to understand that Mississippi was also a 5. We got a lot of similarities here.
Yeah, yeah.
But the FCC came 4 times a year to the post office building, and they wore those drill sergeant hats, and they yelled at you when we went in there. But you know, that was the good old days, Martin. We all made it.
Well, we did. We did. You know, we had to learn Morse code the hard way. You know, I remember listening to my Night Kit Space Spanner regenerative receiver with one hand on the tuning knob. I mean, there was a tuning knob and the band spread knob, and you had to leave one hand on the band spread knob. Yeah, that's it. Mine was an older version of that, but I had to leave my hand there while I used my left hand to try to copy Morse code, because if I moved my hand from the band spread knob, the frequency would shift and I couldn't hear the station anymore.
So you were the ALC or the AF, automatic frequency control.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you
if
know,
it shifted a little bit, I just move my finger a little bit.
You know, we're going to show some of the kind of radios that you and I started with, and they weren't good, I can tell you, were they?
Let me talk about this little Night Kit Space Spanner.
Yeah, let's talk about this one. And here's look at this thing.
3 tubes.
Yeah.
AC/DC radio. And Tom and I were talking about it. No AC transformer. If you didn't plug that AC plug into the wall the right way, you touched the radio chassis, you knew you wouldn't want to touch it again.
Let me tell you, Martin, I've blown some stuff up before. I think a lot of people don't understand what we're talking about. Back then, we didn't have 3-prong plugs. We had 2-prong plugs. And that chassis right there was tied to one of the wires. And if you plugged that plug in where the hot wire made that chassis hot, if you had something else sitting next to it that was plugged in grounded, there were sparks.
And if you touch it to yourself,
oh yeah,
there were sparks to you.
That's right. So that was one of your first receivers there. But I'm gonna tell you, I bet you it wasn't good for ham radio.
Well, when I got my novice license, that was the only receiver that I had.
Yeah.
And tried my best to make contacts with it, but a regenerative receiver, when you transmit, it would block. You couldn't hear anything. And once you went back from transmitting to receive, the frequency had drifted off so far that you couldn't hear who you were trying to receive. So I never made a contact with that regenerative receiver. But back in the early days, that's all they had, and they made really good contacts back in the early days with regenerative receiver. I just never understood as a youngster how to make contacts with that regenerative receiver.
Well, but you would have probably mastered it, but you moved on. What was your second receiver you got?
Somehow I came across a world surplus Navy receiver, a TCS-12. That's it.
There it is.
A war surplus receiver, and the entire 40-meter band. And if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little window.
I see that.
Yeah, that was the tuning dial.
Okay.
And the entire 40-meter band was about 1/8 of an inch, and that was a general coverage receiver. And the tuning speed was so fast that you just couldn't tune in any CW signals. So I tried my best to make contacts with that, even using a BFO as a fine tuning control, but I was never able to make a contact with that either.
Well, Martin, that's military surplus there. That's Navy. And let me tell you, I mean, that was probably a pretty good radio built for the Navy, but can you imagine? I mean, I just wonder sometimes how we won the war with these kind of radios. That's not a great radio, is it?
Well, it wasn't a great radio for operating CW in the small section of the novice band that we had at that time, which was, I think it was 7.125 to 7.150. We had like 25 kilohertz, and I may be wrong about that, but that's what I remember it being. And you had to have pretty good band spread to be able to stay within that band. But as a ham, it wasn't the greatest receiver, but I'm sure that was state of the art during World War II.
Yeah, I imagine it was. And I'm trying to remember. Now, I was 4 years later. They did move that band around a little bit, but it seemed like I remember a 7150 to 7200.
That might have been. I think you're right. It was 7150 to 7200. You're right.
All right.
But
so now you made some contacts with this. This is a TCS 12, TSC 12.
Yeah.
But
I didn't start making real contacts until I got a receiver that was built late during the 1940s, and it was used when I got it.
Yeah.
It was a S40A, a Helicrafter. Now, to me, that's a picture of it. That was the receiver that I had. Perfect. That's a beautiful radio.
I would have loved to have a receiver like that when I first started. I ended up with something maybe equal to that, but
well, that receiver, there's a big round dial on the left. That was the main tuning dial, and then on the right, in the middle at the top, is the band spread dial. There's two knobs.
Right
in the middle. One says tuning on the left side. The other one is band spread.
Yep.
What you did was you set the band spread knob to 0.
Are you there?
Tuning knob until you 0 beat it and that was the frequency that you were on, and then you could tune around that frequency.
Well, you know, that is nothing like the radios we have today, where the VFOs are like 1 part in a million. I mean, this guy right here, he was probably 1 part in 10 kilohertz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
But
You're
you know
right.
what? You know, we were crystal controlled, and nobody had the same crystals. If I talk to you, I might call CQ on 7152, and you might answer me on 7155.
Yeah, and what we did was, while you were calling CQ, I was tuning around on the band spread dial until I heard a CQ, and then I would call you. I would call your call W5KUB, W5KUB, W5KUB. DE, K5FLU, K5FLU, K5FLU.
Boy, we really wasted a lot of time, didn't we?
Oh yeah, but that's how we did it.
That's how you
We
made a
had to have
contact.
that time. We had to
Now-
have that time because while I was calling, because you weren't on the same frequency that I was calling on,
Right.
you were tuning your receiver trying to find me.
Well, that's true, and we were crystal controlled, and I think every novice had maybe 1 or 2 crystals. We didn't have like a whole drawer of them.
Oh,
We were
crystals
kinda
were very
fixed.
expensive
And-
back then.
You know, the funny thing about that, there were general hams back then that would be up in the voice band, and they would say, hello, this is so-and-so, and I'm listening down in the novice band for a call. And boy, we could call them down there in the CW, the novice band, and they would talk back to us from the phone band. Did you ever do that?
No, I never did that. That would have been really fun.
That was fun to do that. Now, Martin, you know, the logging has changed, man. We filled up a bunch of logbooks, didn't we? But it wasn't that many contacts.
Well, you know, back then, any call that we made, we had to record it. And I remember when I first got on the air with a home-built transmitter that was built by my Alma local radio TV guy, but I got on the air with 22 watts. That's input power, not output power. And it's about, 50%, maybe 10 watts with an antenna that I didn't even know if it was putting power into that antenna or not.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we called CQ, we had to record it. And we put all the information that's in ARRL handbook. And I used to have pages and pages of CQ, no answer, CQ, no answer, CQ, no answer. And I know lots of ham during that time had the same experience. Did you have that experience?
I did. You know, I logged every single transmission, whether I got an answer or not. You know, back then we believed the FCC would come get us.
Oh yeah, they used. I mean, we still have them. The official observers. What do you call them?
I think the ARRL has official observers. I got a couple of those postcards.
Oh yeah, they were listening to you. If you had a really chirpy signal, or if you were out of band, you got something from one of the official observers. They were volunteers. They weren't FCC employees.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a subject I've been wanting to talk about a long time, Martin, to find somebody to come on here and talk about the old days. I mean, we're going to have trouble tonight holding this down short. If Dave's listening, Dave, we may be a little late on you, Dave, KE0OG, but we're going to get to the next segment after a while. Martin, I've got a couple pictures. I told people that we would be doing a segment on, novice days and first contacts. And I had a few people send in pictures. Let me throw them up here real quick. They might be watching tonight. So let me just throw them up here real quick and let you see what a novice station looked like back when Martin and I, we got our license and got on. Let me see if I can find. Here's Glenn White. He had a Knight T60 and a HQ100. He said he had a 15-meter rotatable dipole up about 35 feet. I mean, that kid, he did good if he had a rotatable dipole, because I sure didn't have one.
And that he had a really deluxe station.
He did.
Yeah.
And let's see, here's this is Robert Kiefer. He was WN2 EWC back then in Western New York. This picture was taken, I think, in a newspaper. He was with the 1970 Novice Roundup. He had a Drake 2NT transmitter, a Helicrafters SX111.
Wow. Deluxe station.
Yeah, he did. Kurt Phillips. Now, Kurt Phillips here, WN4, I think it's LHI, 1968. He 13 years old. You know, these young kids getting their license in now. He had a rare ICOM 711 Space Ranger. He had a DX60A. Boy, he had a Heathkit SWR bridge. And he had him a Heathkit HD16 code practice oscillator that he hooked up to his DX60 for a side tone. You know, we didn't have side tones back then. You had to kind of figure out how to hear yourself.
That's right.
But, you know, this guy, he kind of, you know, he had it tougher than me. All this was out in a building, out in the backyard. He said he had no air conditioner and he had no heat. So can you imagine working out there in the winter and the summer? Tell us about your first location that you built your shack.
Well, I can imagine. I do and can imagine that. And I saw his SX101, which was a really super deluxe receiver back in those days. But I remember I had my station. You know, we lived in the back of our little grocery store. Yeah, right there in Hollandale, Mississippi, Mississippi Delta. And I used to crawl up into the attic. We didn't have a floor in the attic, but there were a couple of boards there. And we had these old bread shelves, you know, shelves in the store that the bread company would give us so we could put bread and sell their bread. And we had some old shelves, and I would take the shelves off of that, and I made a little table upstairs in the attic, and I used to climb up there in the attic, and that's where I had my ham station. And back then, you know, we didn't have air conditioning, and but there was a vent at the end of the attic in the back that was open so air could circulate. And I brought my TV antenna, 300 ohm twin lead, through those and brought it all the way up to the station. And the antenna that I used was a wire that was kind of tacked on to the eave of a house. So it was kind of like a little inverted V. And the way that, you know, we didn't have antenna tuners or SWR bridges or anything to measure if power was going into your antenna. But the transmitter itself, the output stage, had a Pi network in it, not for harmonic suppression, but more for matching the output stage of the transmitter to the antenna. And we had a tune-up procedure that we used to tune the transmitter up, which was there was two controls, a load control and a tune control. Oh yeah, you can see it.
I'm trying to find one here. Well, let's see.
Homemade transmitter there. Oh yeah, this one right here you're looking at is 807, and it looks like a 6AG7 oscillator that drove 807 final amplifier.
I don't see the. Oh yeah, there's the tuning, that little black pointer knob at the bottom, and then the other one, he doesn't even have a knob on it. Oh,
it doesn't have a knob. But yeah, usually there's two tuning controls for a Pi network. That may not be a Pi network. That may be a link couple tune one.
Oh, okay.
But later, they were Pi networks where you had load control and a tune control.
Uh-huh.
And what you would do, and there was a meter that would monitor the current that flowed into the output tube, the final amplifier tube, and you would increase the load by, I forgot if you increase or decrease the loading capacitor, and then you would tune it for a dip in the meter. And you kept doing that until you got the maximum dip, and that was supposed to give you the maximum power into the transmitter. But that's how we tune it without an SWR meter.
Yeah, and here's another transmitter, and if you look at it, you can see the crystals. For people that don't know, these crystals weren't the little bitty, teeny weeny crystals like you see now on some of these radios, but there it is there, plugged into a tube socket. And when we built stuff, we used every part out of a TV. You can see right there they're using the tube socket to plug the crystal into. He's doing it there, and I think he's doing it here, and he's got a switch. He probably can switch crystals right there.
That's what it looks like. There's 3 crystals plugged into it, and those look like World War II type of crystals.
Yeah.
But one thing you should notice is that this transmitter has a transformer and a power supply that was built into it, and there's a tube to the left side of the meter, which was probably something like a 5U4 rectifier tube or something, some kind of dual rectifier.
Do you think it's you think it might be one of those gas regulators or something?
Well, it might be.
I'm looking, there's another tube behind it. It looks a little smaller. Maybe it might be something like a 5Y4 or something, but that kind of reminds me of one of those.
A 5Y4, and the bigger one in front of it might be a gas regulator.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a gas regulator to me. And now one of your first transmitters was an 807. Used the same tube as this.
Yeah. Well, see, if you look on to the right, if your viewers look on to the right, there's a black metal tube that's in front of the left side of the tank coil. That's probably something like a 6AG7, which was the oscillator that drove that 807. One thing, that other picture you showed of the more simple transmitter, to go back to that, there's no transformer, but if you look behind that coil, you'll see a wire cable.
Yeah.
That's probably the cable that plugs into a separate power supply.
Yep.
That provided the high voltage and the filament voltage for that tube. That tube there, what do you think that tube is?
I'm guessing a 6L6, or did people use a 6V6 back then?
Yeah, that's too small, it looks like, for 6L6, but it looks more like a 6V6.
Right. Yep.
That may have put, maybe, I don't know how much that would have put out, maybe 10, 15 watts.
Yeah, I imagine it was a 10-watt transmitter. But these tubes, like this big tube here, that's a surplus tube. That was an 807. You could get those surplus. And I looked up the price. The price back in early 60s, that 807 cost $1.25. And today you can still find and buy an 807, but they're $24 today.
Man.
So they've gone up a little bit. But they made another tube that would that was just like the 807. It was called the 1625, and the only difference was they had a 12-volt filament instead of a 6-volt filament.
And they were available from World War II surplus.
Yeah, in fact, the price on those were 50 cents, where the 807s were $1.25. So it must have been a whole lot more surplus 1625s out there.
Yeah, no, you're right. I remember buying the 1625s from a company called BA, Bernstein Appleby, and I think they were in Kansas City. And I remember paying like 25 cents a piece for them. And you could also buy copper whale wire from Bernstein Appleby, BA. Copper whale wire had a steel center core, and the outside was copper. And it was really strong, made great antennas because it wouldn't stretch. But after a while, the copper part of it would corrode off, and then the inner core of steel would rust and the wire would just break off, very stiff. But we could get on the air really, really cheap back in those days.
Well, we could, but boy, I tell you, the equipment's so much different today. It's so easy to make a contact today with these sideband rigs. But you know, Martin, back then we didn't have any digital readout. We didn't know where we were. We just
Well, you know,
we
it
didn't
was
have a
a
SWR meter. We just put something on and it worked. You know.
It was a thrill just to be able to make a contact. And, you know, the way that we made sure that we were not outside the band because of the official observers, but not just them, but it was rules and regulation that you had to stay within your band. You made sure that you tune way inside your band limits. But what we had back then, if you were rich enough or had enough money or worked hard enough on a paper route or something, that you had these what were called frequency standards, which were 100 kilohertz oscillator harmonics. And every 100 kilohertz, you would get a tone. You would turn it on, and you could find the edge of the 40-meter band, which was 7 megahertz, or 15-meter bands at 21 megahertz, and you could zero beat. You could tell your receiver, you zero beat your receiver, and you could tell where the band edges were.
There's a question.
We didn't have digital readout or any of that.
There's a question in the chat room. We want to know, would these radios that we just showed, would they be legal to operate today?
Well, I know all the receivers would, I think they would be legal. You know, some of the receiver regulations now have some kind of emitted radiation regulations.
But I think they're talking about the transmitters, you know, spurious emissions and stuff like that.
They probably would be on the edge, or probably, and some of them probably would not meet FCC regulations now.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, but people still build that stuff, you know, and still use it. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. Did you ever build you a electronic keyer?
No, I didn't.
You always use a straight key.
I always use a World War II surplus J38 straight key.
All right. Well, I built me a keyer before I got a Vibraplex key for a keyer, but you know, to talk about how we scrounge parts and stuff, Martin, do you remember the old vibrator in the automotive car radio?
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you ever open one up?
Absolutely, I did, yeah.
And it's got a nice little foam cover in there. Boy, that foam cover makes a nice tube puller, a hot tube puller, you know.
Ah, okay.
But inside there's a little vibrating reed in there that vibrates. And I think I use that as my key. You know, you go left or right with it, and I think I built me a key out of that apparatus.
Okay, so it was a key that you made your own dots and dashes?
Well, it was an electronic keyer that would, you know, generate dots or dashes, and I needed a key. You know, the not a bug, but the key that, you know, you press the thumb in, it does dots automatic. And, you know, it didn't actually vibrate. I just used that to make contact like a key.
Yeah.
And the key.
Well, you know, those old vibrators had sockets, just like tube sockets had, because those contacts would eventually wear out because of all the arcing.
Yep.
So you pull those out and put them, replace them with another vibrator, and when transistors came around, those contacts were replaced by transistors. And they had transistor power supplies that generated to high voltage in the same way, but transistors instead of actual mechanical contacts.
So we could get just about any part you needed out of a TV set. We could get on the air with a TV set, couldn't we?
Absolutely. You know, back then they were carbon resistors, and you know there were some big ones, and there were half watts, which were probably about the smallest ones, and then there were 1 watt and 2 watt resistors. There were several types, but when I was growing up, most of them had leads that came out the end of them, and you could take a resistor that was too high in value for the value that you needed, and you could take a file and you could file that body of the resistance down, and you could, in other words, cut into the carbon, and you could increase the value of that resistor, and you would put an ohmmeter across that resistor, and you would keep filing it until you got it to the point of the value of resistance that you need.
Well, you know, I never did that. I would always put resistors in series or parallel. I never thought about filing it down like you did, but I understand exactly what you're doing there.
Well, the other thing that we used to do, and we didn't have capacitor meters back then that we could afford, or at least I didn't. But they had ceramic capacitors, you know, and they had the value marked on it. But you could take a ceramic capacitor and break it in half. So if you had a 0.01 microfarad capacitor, and if you broke it in half, you could have something like the 0.005 microfarad capacitor.
I didn't know that. You know, I just put 2 of them in series.
Well, you know, there are other things too. You know, this is way before your time. But back in the early days, you know, we couldn't make good magnets. So they would use electromagnets. In other words, a speaker. Instead of a permanent magnet speaker, it was an electromagnet speaker.
Right.
What that meant was, in place of the magnet, there was a piece of steel, and they would put lots of turns of wire on it. And that would produce a magnet for a speaker. And then at the same time, they would use that coil of wire as a filter choke in the power supply.
Right, it had dual purpose, yeah.
And then if, you know, once somebody threw that radio away, you could take that speaker and you could unwind all that wire and you use it for the antenna. It was soft drawn copper, and it wouldn't stay up very long because it would sag and eventually break.
Well, look, let's move on real quick, man. I got some questions here. What kind of antenna switch did you use?
Well, for TR switch, I think at the very beginning, I used alligator clips. You know, back then we had separate receivers and separate transmitter. And if you were using the same antenna, you had to take the transmitter antenna off of your transmitter and plug it into your receiver. So the easy way would be to have a pair of alligator clips and just unclip them from the transmitter and connect it to your receiver. But after a while, you know, sometimes you would forget to do that, and you would be transmitting into nothing. And because it was a tube type transmitter, you know, it wouldn't hurt the transmitter.
Yeah.
But after a while, I built a transmit receive switch, a TR switch, in a coffee can. And I think it was in the handbook or some amateur radio publication like that.
Did it use a relay or some kind of switch?
Well, what you did was you left the antenna connected to the transmitter all the time, and you would tap off of that antenna and first go into a Christmas tree light bulb. And then that would connect to your receiver, and then from the receiver to ground, it would put 2 diodes in parallel, back to back. One of them with the cathode to the antenna, and one of them with the cathode to ground, and that would clip in the RF signal, so it would protect the receiver. And when you transmit it, the Christmas tree light bulb would light up and present a very high resistance, so it wouldn't burn up your receiver. Now, these were tube type receivers. They didn't burn up like they did
No.
Now, so that was an automatic TR switch, so all you had to do was transmit, and then when you got through transmitting, you just received. You didn't have to move anything around. That was a big improvement in the coffee can.
You went the simple route. You know, I had a similar TR switch, but the transmitter stayed hooked to the antenna all the time, but it went through a tube, something like a 12AT7 or a 12AU7 or something, and it went through there before it hit the receiver, and of course that blocked the power, and you know, it didn't hurt the receiver. Okay, hey, another question, man. I know this has had to happen to you. It's happened to me twice in my 53 years. Has your station ever been hit by lightning?
I have never had a problem with lightning that I can remember.
You're lucky.
I was lucky.
I mean, I've been hit, and my antennas and everything were unhooked, but Martin, it came in the phone lines, it came in the power lines, you know, it went through the ground line. I mean, if lightning wants to hit you, it's going to get you.
It's going to get you, no matter how far, no matter how you try to protect your station. If you get lightning strike close enough, you're going to have problems.
Well, you know, Martin, we're talking back in our novice days, and back when we were novices, you couldn't renew your license. You had 1 year, and when that year was up, the license expired, and you couldn't renew it. But did you know right now, the FCC database shows there are 11,141 novices on record right now that still have their license. And I think they made some type of law change years ago where novices could continue to keep that novice license. Now, that's not one that you can get today, but people still have that novice license out there.
Well, that's a pretty interesting fact.
Well, let's see, Martin. I knew we couldn't go 30 minutes. There was no way we could go 30 minutes on this. We could talk another 3 hours.
Well,
but you know what?
We didn't go 30 minutes yet. Maybe somebody else has a comment or a question. And,
yeah, let's see. I get mine ready. Let's see. Yeah. And Dave here says that he bets none of these novices on air. I kind of agree with you, Dave. They may not be. I was just trying to check the chat out and see what was going on here. Jerry asked, did you ever leave your fingerprints on a hot tube?
Well, yeah.
I've done that before.
I left part of my finger on several hot tubes.
Yeah. And don't that dust smell kind of funny when those tubes heat up? It's got its own smell.
It does have its own smell, but you know, the smell that I loved the most was the rosin core solder, the rosin when we were used to be soldering.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, all right. Well, Martin, I think we'll go ahead and we'll just plan more time next time.
Okay.
It just I knew this was going to happen. You had a J38. Show us your J38 real quick.
Okay.
If you got it handy there.
Yeah, I got it. Let me go over here and get it.
All right. And while you're doing that, I'll show mine too. And we're going to have Dave on here in just a couple minutes. And Dave's going to do us a little talk on the J38s. But here's a little J38 right here that I have. And we're waiting on Martin to come back, and we're going to see his. This is what probably every novice started with back years ago. And Martin, I was just showing him my J38 right here.
Oh yeah.
That I have. And you've got one there, right? Let's see what that one looks like here.
Well, this one looks just like yours. Now this is, I think, the J38 that you have, which I did the same thing that you did. I turned it around. So that when you press, right now, when you press down on it, normally you use it this way. When you press down on it, the whole thing goes up.
Yeah.
So you had to hold it down with one hand to do that. But if you did what you did, you take this whole thing and you turn it around. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the knockdowns here, it didn't have it. Wasn't so
Yeah,
likely.
it's you got more. You got more down on this end here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was a good.
now,
that was a
does yours
trick.
have bearings? This one has some bearings right here. It's got some little ball bearings on each side. Does yours have that?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
ball bearings. Let's see if I can show you. There's ball bearings here and also here, and there's tension adjustments here, and there's also
Right.
tension adjustments here.
Well, Dave's going to show us now. The one he's going to show us does not have bearings. I think it's a real, World War One era, and it did not have bearings there. And he's going to talk about it, and he's got a nice video we're going to see there in just a few minutes. So we're going to jump over with Dave now. We're going to talk about that J38 key. And Martin, I know you're staying late at the shop there. Betty's going to get mad at you. I don't know if you got to go home yet, or hey, join us on Hangout later. We'll try to open Hangout up here in a little while if you want to. But I tell you what, let me. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to close this segment. And hey, I'll see you Friday. I'm going to come down. I'm coming down to Starkville Friday, and I'm going to visit with you Friday.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, well, send me three, and thanks for being a part of the show, and you bring a lot of interesting stories and stuff, and I'm glad you didn't fall through the floor up in the attic with your ham shack.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
see you later.
All right, good night.
7:56,
Good night.
buddy. Bye.
All right, so we're going to get Dave on here now, and let's see if I can pull Dave in. Okay, gotta find Dave. Uh-oh, Dave's offline. Dave, you're offline. KE0OG. Dave, if you can, turn your Skype on so we can get you on the show. All right, so we'll be back with everybody in just a minute. Everybody just stick with us while I'm trying to get Dave on here. Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. See how you can make the most out of the contest season with one of these transceivers. Ideal for the ham on the go, the IC7300 is a high-performance HF transceiver with a compact design. Don't miss a weak signal with the combination of the waterfall function and a real-time spectrum scope. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. The IC7851 will give you the competitive edge you've been looking for. Raise the bar and hear what others can't hear with the HF 50 MHz transceiver. It has reciprocal mixing dynamic range, a crystal clear local oscillator design, a spectrum scope, dual receivers, and a digital voice recorder. Can't wait for the IC7610? The IC7600 is still available and is at a great price. Following in the footsteps of ICOM's flagship radio, the IC7600 has an intuitive operation and the latest DSP technologies. It comes with a digital IF filter, dual DSP, 5.8-inch ultra-wide TFT display, and a high-resolution real-time spectrum scope. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. All right, we're back. Let's see if we can figure out how to get Dave on here. Dave. Dave, you're still showing offline. Okay, we'll Dave says that Skype's got a new interface. They must have changed things again. I know Martin had some trouble. So we'll wait till see if Dave can try to figure out we'll see if Dave can figure out how to get the Skype running there. Okay, he's going to restart it. We'll give him about one more second, and we'll hopefully be able to bring Dave in. For all of our people who have just joined, I'd like to ask you just to go to the top of the menu and click on Facebook. Join our Facebook group. We've got about 6,000 members in our webcast group here, and we'd love to have you join us. It's a great ham radio place. Put pictures of your shacks. In fact, if you put pictures of your shacks in here, we will try to show those pictures on the show one week if you'll just post them. And so join our Facebook group here. If you're listening on WBCQ on 5130 kilohertz, you can go to w5kub.com, w5kub.com, and you can watch the show. You can join us in the chat room. And if you're out there listening, if anybody's out there listening, and you can send us a signal report. Send us a signal report to Tom at, let's see, Dave's calling me here. Let me see what he's doing here. Dave? Dave, can you hear me? Dave, can you hear me? Dave? Dave, you're on the wrong Skype. You called me on the wrong Skype. So I'm going to hang up. All right. Dave, if you're listening out there, you call me on the wrong Skype. You call me on the Skype number. You need to call me on the W5KUB-1. Now, if we can't get Dave on here pretty quick, we got Dave's video. We can go ahead and start it anyway. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start Dave's video while we try to get Dave on here. And that way we won't be... All right, let's check him out here. Hey, Dave? Dave, if you can hear me, you're calling in on the wrong Skype. You need to call W5KUB-1. W5KUB-1. You're coming in on the other line. I'm going to go ahead and run Dave's video while we try to work Dave out here. So everybody stand by, and we're going to run Dave's video here.
Hi, this is Dave Castler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, and I thought today we'd look at this classic Morse code key. This is what's called a straight key, meaning that it's either on or off, is entirely controlled by the operator. It's a model J38, which was a very common model used during World War II. Now, it's interesting to note the screws that are holding this to this wooden base. Note that these are all straight screws. During World War II, Phillips screws had not yet been invented, so all the screws were straight back then. Let's look at the parts of this. This was a telegraph key that you attached the line here, and then the telegraph, meaning the sounder, went here, and you had to have this shorting bar shorted because the way those sounders work, they were all in series. So to transmit, you actually broke the circuit and then recompleted it, opened it, recompleted it, and so on. So every sounder that was on the line would pick that up. Now, the way the key is done here, this is a base, which I think is brass, that's cast, and it includes something up here to hold the pivot. There's something on the other side. Now, the pivot itself does not have any bearings, so you see as you turn this right here. It pivots on that spot and pivots over on that spot, and that is where the connection is made. The electricity runs up through here into the thing down here, and you can see where there's a little gap that is broken and remade by the key. So there's a couple adjustments going on here. This spring right here adjusts the tension, and this one back here adjusts how far the key will travel. Okay? Now the original J38s also had this hook right here, because back then they had these cloth covered cords that would hook to this, and then there'd be two wires coming out of it ending in tips, and you put those tips in the little holes right here and then screwed down this on top of it, and you can see that right through there, screwing down on top of it. Okay, I haven't seen a cord like that in a long time. I'd like to find one. Now the J38s for the Navy had a different kind of key. Instead of this flat key, which is held with 3 fingers, there was kind of a knob up here that you could get a little bit better hold on. Now in radio use, these work perfectly well. And after World War II, these were available for about 25 cents each. I paid $5 for this one. It's needs cleaning, but it's otherwise complete. Has everything here. And these are very common keys. I happen to like them. My main key is a Japanese equivalent of this, which happens to have some bearings up in here instead of a little pivot. So there's adjustments all over the place. This basic design comes from a key first marketed in the 1880s, because before then telegraph keys had a habit of really falling apart and not being very well constructed. So the J38 kind of took the world by storm. You can still find them at swap fests. I intend to make this one operational. I'm going to clean it all up. And the board has warped just a bit since it was put on there. I'll level it out, and everything works fine. Pretty cool device, really, when you think about it, just turning a circuit on and off. But it does it so reliably and so well that this is often considered the classic straight key.
All right. Well, hey, you were able to see Dave's video there about the J64. He actually brought to us some information I did not know. During the video there, he called me once, but I was unable to connect with him. He said that I think he's had some kind of updates, and Skype is just looking really crazy. So, Dave, if you're watching this show, probably not going to be able to pull you in here tonight, but you can still work on it if you want to. You know, I've got one other picture real quick that I didn't show, and he may be in here. Travis Pitts sent me. Let me see if I can get Dave back in here. Hang on. Dave, can you hear me? Okay, it's not working. Travis Pitts sent me his novice station. I want to show it. This is Travis Pitts back in 1973, WN4VMG. Travis there had a Heathkit 10B receiver and a Globe Scout Deluxe transmitter. That was his novice rig back in 1973. I think that may be a son or a grandson there of Travis, but I failed to show that earlier when we were talking about our novice stations. So let's see. So what we've done now, we've got we've seen the J38 video. We've talked to Martin tonight, and I've got one more video I want to run real quick. I had to record this It's because I talked to the guys down in Christmas Island, the expedition down right north of Australia, in the ocean out there, Christmas Island and Cocos Keating Island. So let's hear from my friend there, Adrian, who goes out on his little mini de-expeditions, and hopefully we'll have some new stuff from him on the show here pretty soon. They were just fixing to leave for Cocos Island, and they had no internet there. They had no internet, so I was unable to get a connection with them there. But let's see what he has to say about Christmas Island.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys. Okay. Hey, everybody out there, listen, we got some special guests on here tonight. I've got Adrian, KO8SCA, all the way down in the Christmas Islands, and I think they're going to be on their way to Cocos Keeling Islands for the expedition on these two islands. So let me bring them in. How you doing, Adrian?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Thank you for having us at the show, Tom. We're actually about to leave to our next destination, which is Cocos Keeling. So everybody is a bit busy with the packing and getting ready to head to the airport. We've been here on this island, on Christmas Island, as Victor Kilo 9 X-Ray India for about a week, and now we're heading to Cocos Keeling, where we're going to be another week. We're going to use the call sign Victor Kilo 9 Charlie India. I have here my team here, and I'm going to pass the microphone to our team leader, Lee. Lee, go ahead, hold up.
All right, so hello, Lee.
Hi, Tom.
How are you doing?
How you going?
Doing great. Sorry we couldn't hook up with you guys during the day while you're operating, but all our viewers need to understand, I think you guys are exactly 12 hours different. So 8 o'clock tonight is, I think, 8 o'clock in the morning your time, or local. Now, tell us exactly where you are. I think Christmas Island is just north of Australia somewhere. Are these remote islands?
Yeah, we're on Christmas Island, and it's probably it's about 4 hours from Perth, heading up towards to India. So it's right out up about 300 kilometers south of Indonesia, and it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's a fair way to go. We did find out that the island only has about 20 visitors a week, and maybe 500 a year. So not a really popular destination, and probably why it's so high up on the list for you guys. But we have worked a lot of East Coast US. We've done our best to try and do that, and 160 meters has been working very, very well.
You guys have torn down the operation today at Christmas Island. You've torn down the operation, and you're ready to go get a flight to Cocos Keeling Island. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So it's about 8 o'clock, 8:30 local time here, and we hope we have to be out of here by 11, off to the airport at midday. And the flight leaves around about 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if we can get off the island. So it's quite common for clouds just to roll in, and everyone gets stuck here for a few days. So hopefully we'll all be good, and it'll be clear, and we can fly off to Cocos, which is about an hour and a half away by flight. And we'll be hopefully we'll be actually getting there in the dark. So we might be challenged to get active this evening, but we'll do our best to get on the air with at least one antenna.
Okay, well that sounds good. Let us meet the other people there in your team.
I'll just pass you over to Tony.
Okay, Tony. Okay.
Yep. Go around in circles.
Hello, Tony.
Yeah, g'day, Tom. Nice to meet you. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Doing fine. Hey, Tony. So you're leaving Christmas Island now. Did you guys make a lot of contacts? How was the propagation and the contacts?
We had excellent propagation to JA and to Europe. It's a very tough path to North America. We did concentrate a bit on North America. Whenever we could hear any propagation, we tried to get into North America, because it's much more needed there. We had reports of S9 plus 20 on some of the high bands into Europe and Japan. Much tougher path to North America, but I think we made maybe 7,500, 8,000 QSOs, probably about 70% on CW.
Wow, that sounds like you guys are having a good time down there.
Yeah, we also operated in the Oceania DX contest. I'm the deputy chairperson of that contest, so it was good to get activity for the Oceania DX contest. And we had about 1,400 contacts for that. We certainly had a bit of a lull in propagation on our Sunday morning, but the guys kicked off with that contest in great style, and we had probably 300-400 QSOs after a couple of hours. So we thought we were on the path for a record, but the sun didn't play the game, and of course that happens from time to time. But ICOM and DX Engineering came to the party and helped us out with some radios, and also Array Solutions helped us out with RX antenna for 160. So that was a great assistance, especially for top band guys. I did the antennas for the 2-element Yagis for 10, 15, 20 and 12, 17 and 30. So we got a bit of assistance, and we've had a few donations. That always helps. We had, I think, 200 kilos worth of kit to grab and haul along. So the donations helped us with the transport and excess baggage costs.
Oh, well, that's great there. Well, Tony, who's your other teammate there?
Okay. Well, I'll put you on to Luke. A bit of a 160 guru. So I'll hand it over to Luke.
Okay,
K3
perfect.
HJ.
Hello,
G'day.
Luke. Hi, Luke. How are you today?
G'day, Tom.
Hey, so you guys are about to leave. You're going to go down to Cocos Keeling Island there and do some operating now. How long are you going to be down there?
We're going to be on Cocos for a week, as we have been for a week here.
Okay.
So we hope to get something on here tomorrow night. Correction, tonight, our time. It's Wednesday. What day is it today?
Well,
It's
it's
Tuesday
Monday
here,
here.
today on this side of the world.
It's Monday here. I think it's Tuesday there, I think.
So-
Well, cool.
And we'll be on for the week in Cocos. Same sort of deal as we have here on Christmas Island.
Well, and I was telling Tom, be sure and remind Adrian here to post some of the frequencies when you guys are operating on our Facebook page, and we will try to work you guys while you're down there, okay?
Right, we'll do that. I'll make a note of that. So
Hey,
we've had a little bit of difficulty with propagation in your direction here, and would you believe it, to VK, because the island is actually intervening in that direction. However, we've done our best. We've only worked a handful of VKs, would you believe? Like I said, the terrain is really blocking our short path USA and VK. So Cocos is a completely different island. It's a coral atoll, which is flat, so there will be no terrain blocking in your direction.
Okay.
So we should have a much better shot at it.
Well, good. Now, what do you operate mostly there? Did I hear you're the 160 man?
Yes, my ears are bleeding from a night after night of tropical storm noise, but we did our best to work 160 meters. It's really quite challenging compared with 37 degrees south where I live, just out of Melbourne. We get the occasional nights where it's noisy with storm static, but here it is really quite challenging. So we seem to be putting out quite a good signal into our target areas, but we did have some difficulty hearing the stations calling, so we didn't do quite as much as we would like to have on 160. However, we'll see how things go on Cocos. Like I say, it's a 360-degree takeoff there. It's much better. Close to the we're close to the sea here, but it's quite a different island. This is volcanic in origin, and Cocos is an atoll, so a mountainous Christmas Island and a flat Cocos, so it should be quite different.
So how many different bands are you guys working simultaneously there?
Well, simultaneously, we have two stations set up here. We may be able to set up a third. We're getting a couple more operators in Cocos Island later in the week. There's only been the four of us here, so it's been quite challenging setting up for 9 bands. We've been operating 9 bands. We've been 10. Yesterday morning, we made an SSB contact on 6 meters up the hill to Lance W7GJ. JG?
Oh, that's
Jungle
great.
Juice.
That's great.
No,
6 meters.
grape juice. No, GJ.
Okay. Well, so you work in two bands, and what kind of power? You got any kind of power there? Or are you running pretty much low power?
We're running legal limit here in Australia.
Okay.
We're finding the Yogis are a great asset. They're giving us very useful forward gain, and even with 100 watts out of the IC7300s, which, by the way, is the first time I've laid hands on these, and I really like the IC7300s. They're a nice rig.
I wanted to mention that the ICOM America really saved us big with these late ICOM 7300 transceivers.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a big restriction here on the amount of equipment you can fly into the islands. So these are so small and yet so performant.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's about it. If you have any other questions for us, if not, then we'll probably finish our packing here.
Okay, Adrian, and to Lee and Tom, great job on your de-expedition down there, and we look forward to talking to you more. Hopefully we'll talk to you on the air maybe this week when you're down there. You're going to be down there one more week, and then you're heading home. You're heading home, I guess. I'll send 73s to you, and we will talk to you later. We had a few technical difficulties tonight. That was my friend Adrian there with Coco's Keating Island and Christmas Island de-expedition. I've got Dave on here. Look at this, guys. We've got Dave in here. There he is right there, but he can't hear me. So I'm gonna have to do sign language. Dave, I'm talking to you right now, Dave. How you doing? I don't know what's wrong here. So I don't know if Skype changed something or what's going on here. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, look, we're going to call it a show tonight. I think we had a good show. You know, we had a little technical problem here with Dave. We're going to go to Hangout. We're going to go to Hangout now. If somebody will post the Hangout link in the chat room, I might can do it. I'm working here by myself tonight, but there it is. I've got it. Somebody probably beat me to it. Here we go. We're going to see if we can get the rest of the show on Hangout, and we'll see how that works out. So good night, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. It's not over with yet. Hangout could be interesting. Who knows? Martin may show up on here. Dave may show up on here. So let's see what happens here. So I'm going to go to Hangout. All I got to do is click a few buttons here. Almost there. All right. I think we're on Hangout. Hangout. Where's my mouse? All right. So, hello, Bill. Are you there, Bill? That's interesting. Now I'm not hearing Bill. Bill, can you hear me? You hear me? Okay. All right. So let's figure this out. It's interesting. Okay. All right. Well, somebody sent a tech in. All right. Here's what's happened. I'm getting Hangout now, but I'm not getting any audio from anybody. I finally got Dave on Skype, but no audio from him. It's like the audio quit. So, who we got in Hangout? Let's see who we got in here. We've got Douglas, Jeffrey, Jim, William, and me. Guys, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to test my audio. I'll call back in just a minute. We're going to see if our audio quit working on this end. Maybe the problem's here. Hard to say. All right, so let me make a call here.
Hello, welcome to Skype call testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
Okay, audio test both ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, audio test both ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that worked. So I don't know why I was not hearing Dave on Skype. So let me go back to Hangout. Let's see what I can figure out on Hangout here. Okay. All right. All right. We got audio now, right?
And basically,
You guys hear me, right?
yeah.
Bill, you're hearing me, right, Bill? You guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. All right. Verify. You hear me? Thumbs
Yes,
up? Thumbs
I'm
up?
hearing
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, that's interesting. I went to Skype and I had to go into options and set the audio in and out. Today it was working okay, but Skype was working both ways and I still wasn't getting Dave. Something happened on Skype tonight. Don't know what that was. So
Yeah.
audio is
Well,
still,
it can happen sometimes.
audio is still working. Dave said it changed his interface. He said he changed his interface totally there. I don't know what happened. And you know, I was talking to Martin. Martin, he's got a Windows 10, but his Skype, he says there's no buttons on his anymore. I don't know if if Skype's downloaded something new or what's happened, but Martin says there's no options on his.
He's probably got the new version. It's a little bit more obscure to figure out where all the options are.
Oh, really? Well, we might need a lesson in that. I'm going to go down to Starkville Friday, and I need to probably show Martin that. So somehow tell me how to do it. You can do it later.
What the heck?
Oh, hey, Bill. How you doing?
Hey, Bill, too.
All right. All right. Well, you know, Dave, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if Dave's going to try to get on Hangout or not. If he wants to join, he can. At least we were able to watch his video.
Once. Oh, my microphone's working.
Yeah. There we go. Now we can
Hi,
hear you.
Jeff.
Hello.
We can hear you now.
We hear you. We hear you.
Hey, Tom.
Let me. So, what we're going to do here is. There we go. Okay.
Cigar.
I don't believe it. My Hangout just went to a screen that says all snap.
Snap.
I had to log
Yeah,
back in.
you're
I don't know what's going on, man.
I can hear you fine there, Bill.
All right.
I used to smoke.
Hey, Tom.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, there's my key. I bought this on eBay, and it actually came mounted on that 1/4-inch plate of steel, so it does not tip over.
Uh-huh.
The lighting is probably bad, but well, you know what it is.
Well, they're neat little keys. They've been around a long time, you know, so. All right. So, well, I thought the same with Martin. You know, when you talk to Martin, you can talk for hours and hours. I mean, just great stories. I mean, can you imagine having your ham shack up in the attic with no floor?
I wish I lived close to him because I could. He'd be a good mentor and a great friend.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What a nice man.
Yeah.
And he has keys to the shop.
That's right. And I'm going down. I'm going down Friday, and I'll make Martin buy me lunch Friday.
Oh, there you go.
What do you got there, Douglas? What's that? A new radio yet, Douglas? What is that?
With a bag mount attached.
I don't know what that is. What is that? Is that DMR or something?
Hey, Bill One.
I'm not familiar with that radio. All right.
Yeah, it's thing UV5R.
Oh, okay. All right, I got you.
And it's got a mag mount attached to it right now.
Yeah.
Show your Bayfang Day. Woo!
I think I got one over here somewhere. Let's see. I've got one. No, mine's a Wolfson or whatever. I bought for 220. I had it in the truck. I used it for a mobile rig. Had a little 220 antenna out on the hood and a speaker mic on it. It was just like a mobile rig.
One thing I'm going to be building is this VFO here.
A VFO for what's it gonna?
60 to 160 meters.
There you go.
For 160, okay. All right.
And I'm going to be using the VFO with the QRP Pixie that I'm getting.
Well, a QR. Will you say a Pixie?
Yeah, QRP Pixie.
And you're gonna run it on what, a 160?
Yeah, 6 to 160 meters.
Ooh. All right. What are you gonna do on the output circuits? You gonna try to rebuild all the output circuits for the different bands, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rig up a selector switch for the low pass filter array.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you'll need that, especially if you do all those bands on it. And you're gonna use you're gonna use a little Arduino VFO.
I've actually got a PIC.
Oh, okay.
16.
It's a PIC. Okay. You know, I built several of the Arduino VFOs, and those things, man, they're rock solid, man. I mean, they're so cool. Probably the same thing with the PIC or whatever you have there.
Only thing is, I'm going to need to get a pref board to put it all on.
Yeah.
I got it. This.
Yeah. 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 There you go.
Circuit right there. And the 80, 98, 51 here.
Okay. That's the SI, isn't it? SI something?
That's the 80, 98, 51.
I think that's the SI 9851. Yeah, I've used that too. I've used that with the Arduino. And it makes a nice VFO.
But for my VFO, I've got a multi-segment LED display there.
Okay.
And the rotary encoder.
Yeah, the encoder. Yep. Are you pretty good at doing the software?
I'm not good at software. I'm more at hardware.
Yeah, boy, the software drives me crazy on it. I'm not a programmer person, and I can't even figure out half the time. Well, I'm doing it on Arduino, so you got to load all those libraries and stuff in there, and you use the library for that SI board, and then for the you got to load the one in there for the LCD and all that.
I'm using the PIC 16.
Yeah, I usually have trouble with all that.
And it comes pre-programmed from someone I bought on eBay.
Well, the nice thing about it, most all that software is shareware, and it's already out there, and you just grab what you need and put it in there if you're smart enough.
It's on the website, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, smart enough. If you're smart enough to figure out how to put it in your device there, you got it made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to get with Dave here and test probably this week and get everything straightened back out with him. I don't know why I don't know why he was calling the other Skype number, how that happened, but even when I answered it, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So let's see, we got we got 3 bills in here tonight, I think, don't we? Let's see, 3 bills.
Yeah.
No, that's Mike up here. That's Mike's in here.
Yep, I'm here.
I see Roy.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, fellers.
Jeff's in
How's
there.
things up in Ooper?
Hey, no snow yet. We've got
they get snow in northern Michigan, you know.
Well, let me tell you, I had to light the furnaces here this morning. It got down to about 68 degrees in the house last night.
68?
Yeah.
It was down to 39 here.
Well, Kathy said in North Carolina it was 36 degrees today.
Yeah, well, I got 47 right now outside. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in the 40s in the Philadelphia area tonight.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well,
I do have 2 Arduino Pro Minis, though.
Cool.
Oh, man.
And a programming device for them.
Yeah, Jeff, we could talk to Martin all day about radios and making contacts and
he fascinates
what
me.
he did. He has some
really
fascinating
guy.
I've been in the
stories.
manufacturing business for 25 years, and he's been in it for just so much longer. And you know what you learn every day when you're building new things, coming up with new ideas and prototyping, fascinates me.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed it. So knowing someone like him is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw or picked it up from the last show or anything. You know, Martin's grandparents came over to build a transcontinental railroad. Did you see that or hear that?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I'm just wondering if they know where that golden spike was driven in, man. When I see Martin Friday, I'm going to see if he knows where it is.
It's long gone, Tom.
Is it? Mm.
You don't think?
Probably is.
I think they removed the golden spike shortly after they drove it in, just so it wouldn't be destroyed when the train ran over it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they even used a real gold spike, to tell you the truth. That may be a myth.
Just like they, when they break ground on new construction, they use these silver-plated shovels. Well, they're probably chrome-plated.
Yeah.
Yeah, spray painted.
Don't worry that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna head off to bed. It's late here on the East Coast, so
yeah,
got things to do. Good to see you, Tom, and everybody else here.
Good night, Jeff.
All right, good night, everyone.
All right, good night.
Good night. Yeah, I won't be too late either today. I gotta get up at 5:30, but we'll be in for a little while here.
I'm a night owl.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, you just went way too late there, Tom. For you.
We went a 2.5 hour show 2 weeks in a row. But when you talk with Martin, that's how it is, man. You know, I had probably 8 hours of video, and I trimmed it down. I went through it 3 times to see if what I could cut out, and I couldn't cut any more out.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
By the time I got the hangout time, I said, yeah, we're going to have to call it a night. Yeah.
Well, it was a really nice ride down to Starkville from Memphis. Thank you again, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome.
With you Friday.
So what?
I said I wish I was going with you Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Walter down Friday, and
cool.
Walter didn't get to go, so I'm gonna take Walter down there Friday, and we're just gonna, I may come back with me a new amp or something. I may come back with some equipment, and Walter.
Are you going down to get your AL80B?
Yeah, I'm gonna get me an AL80B. And I'm also ordering me an IC7300. I just want to play with one. I want to have an ICOM, a Yaesu, and a Kenwood.
Now make sure you get the little boxes here that you need to run both of them. Then
what's that little box do?
It goes supposedly between the transmitter and the 3 or 4 different wires or something to go on the back.
Yeah, I don't know what I need that for. I mean, I never have used that on an amp before. I just put the output of my radio in it, and
let me check their catalog here right quick while you're on the phone here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I would like to put in it. It's not necessary. I'd like to put that grid current protector circuit in it, where it won't allow you to go over the grid current that you might accidentally hit. But I've never had that either. So.
Well, talk to Richard. Richard won't steer you wrong there if you ask him.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that Richard's the subject expert there. Mike Enos over at Ameritron, he knows it in and out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Mike here a long. Martin sent me to Mike, and I had a lot of questions. I've got the 811H, but then again, I looked at the 572 runs a whole lot more power than the H does here because they run a lot higher plate voltage. But then again, he's saying the 80D is better, but it's less power. So man, I was jumping back and forth on all different these. I didn't know what I wanted, and I finally settled on that AL80B, I think.
Oh, he's starting to hum. He's getting serious.
I can't find it.
Hey, Bill out in, where is it, Montana?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it right. Yeah, hey, send me a note or something. Explain to me about this Scout thing coming up and what you want to do, and whatever you want to do, we can work it out.
No, it's actually this weekend. So.
Oh, is it this weekend?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it like you did the other place?
I don't know. I'm gonna bring all my stuff.
I mean, if you want to stream, just let me know, and you're welcome to do it. Hey, those other videos are still out there. I just got to mark private.
Okay.
Because we never really edited them or anything, and they were just really no titles or anything. So, but they're out there if we need them.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll see. I don't know what my volunteer list looks like yet.
Yeah.
It looked pretty thin on Tuesday or Monday's meeting, so I'm just gonna play it by ear. I'll probably just be busy on the radios and everything else. So, yeah, if I get a chance, then maybe I will.
Okay.
I still have all the information to do that. So.
Let's see. I don't know if Dave is still in here or if Dave's gone. I don't see Dave logged in anymore. I had some questions for Dave about his J38 key there. I learned a few things. That little shorting lever is on there. I always just thought, hey, that's neat for tuning your radio or something, your transmitter. But the more I thought about it and I heard the explanation, that was because these systems are all in series and closed systems. So when you weren't transmitting, you had to have that thing closed so everybody down the line would still work. So that shorting bar was to keep the system operating. He mentioned the straight screws in there. At that time, I guess that key was made, they didn't have Phillips screws. And I remember growing up as a kid, man, I hated Phillips screws. They would always strip, the head would always strip out, man. I don't know if it was just poor quality back then or the screwdrivers weren't any good, but today, man, I don't build nothing unless it's got a Phillips,
Oh, yeah, you can't use a power drill or anything unless it's got a Phillips head in it.
Yeah, I know, man. So
try using a straight blade in one of those power drivers. And
straight blade don't work real good on a drill, does it? Yeah. Oh man. So, and then the little wire, I didn't think about the little eye bolt on there, but that was to hold the cable on there. They got a little clamp and a little S hook. They held the cable on there. So that's some of the things I kind of learned about the meter.
Yeah. I'm gonna get out of here. I got some work to do before the slack. So.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here in a little while too. Get me a peanut butter sandwich and maybe watch a little TV here in a minute.
There you go. Oh, we'll talk to you later, Tom.
Okay, all right, we'll see. And hey, just if you want to do that, thing, just shoot me an email or something.
You
got the codes and stuff, Roger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Take care.
All right, we'll see you. Good night.
Okay, good night, Bill.
All right, let's see. Yeah, Doug there. Doug says the AL80B is the one he would choose.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What it is, it is an, let's see, a band switch that lets your rig, wait a minute, it lets your rig auto band switch your solid state Amatron amp. It's an ARI 500. Is the cable, and I don't see the 991A or the 7300 here, but there's a lot of.
Well, it sounds like that's for the solid state, amp. I don't know if that'll work on this other amp, will it?
I thought.
Got it out there. That one down.
Mark, what are you doing, Mark?
Mark, you got your audio coming again from this end.
Yeah, FPV. Take the audio.
Well, maybe that will work better.
All right. Well, I think that switch is for their solid state stuff.
There it is.
What are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, not a lot. Just came back from a wake or a little earlier tonight. I was viewing.
Mark, can you hear me, Mark? Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, put the audio over at the other end of the room.
Mark, you're talking to us, but
I can't find my earplugs.
He can't find his earplugs, that's why he can't hear you.
I don't know. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get me a snack and maybe watch a little TV. And thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. You guys stay and hang out if you want to. You don't have to leave.
Yeah, that won't be too much longer. 5:30 will come early for me.
All right, guys. 73, good night.
All right.
I'm going to say good night to everybody on the...
Hey, have a good night there, Tom.
All right, good night.
Okay.
Okay, so back in the chat room, let's see, 813. What do I know? What do I know? I run 813s. Jerry, I just sold an amp of 813s. Let me show you my 813 amp, Jerry. I've got it here. Let me load the pictures. And it's an 813 amp I built and sold. And let me grab the picture real quick. 813 here and here. Okay. All right, Jerry, okay. WA4UCF, Jerry. Here's my 813 amp I built. This is an amp that I built with 813s. That case, by the way, that case is a Heathkit Apache transmitter. I destroyed and tore up a complete Heathkit Apache transmitter just to get the case. So anyway, here's the bottom of my amplifier. If you notice, there's the filter capacitors in the bottom. It looks like there's eight filters there. I got 4 on each side. You know, they're series to get to handle the voltage. And then if you go on top, that's what it looks like on top. That was my 3 813s right there. You can see the 3 813s, and I got a little fan right there that blows on to help keep them a little cool. So that was my 3 813s. There's a shot from the back right there that you can see from the rear. Let's see what I got here. There's one from the side. You can see the tank circuit. Let's see, you can see the tank circuit. Yeah, tank circuit, 10 meters on there, loading and dipping, final, you know. And let's see. That's what it looked like. I sold that, it would run a kilowatt. I sold that amp for $100 at Memphis 2 years ago. I sold it for $100, and I gave the guy, I think I gave him 6 or 7 spare 813s to go with it. The thing was just so big and heavy, you know, man. I don't know, but you know, it came together pretty nice, you know. You know, I had the meter on the right side there was just relative output. You know, you just adjust for relative output, and the meter on the left there was plate current. There's a band switch in the center, and your plate, your loading capacitors, and down at the bottom I had power switch, and I had high voltage switch, and I had 2 lights, a green light and a red light. But that was my 813 amp that I built right there. I probably got close to a kilowatt out of it. I don't remember what my plate voltage was. The transformer I used in it is, I grew up in a TV shop many years ago, and we had access to hundreds and hundreds of junk TVs. And let me tell you, you take that's the plate transformer on the left there. That transformer came out of a color TV, and they're very, you know, a color TV is a pretty big TV, and it had a lot of high current capability. A typical transformer like that would have 800 volts each side of center tap. So that would give you 1600 volts right there. And if you put a bridge on that, 1.4 times 1600 volts is about, I don't know, what's that, 2700 volts or something like that. Or if you just put a full-way bridge on the 800 each side of center tap, that'd be 800. You'd get about 1200 volts out. But it was good for, you know, 800 mils to maybe an amp. So the transformer had plenty of power to run those. The transformer to the right side is the filament transformer, to the right of the 3 tubes. I saw somebody, I had a picture today, someone had a little Heathkit, it was a little Heathkit novice rig, and they put an 813 in it sideways. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, you know, I ran mine mostly, I ran it on 80 and 40 and 20. Mostly on 40 and 20 probably. I never felt very comfortable trying to run it on 15. I don't think I ever run it on 10, even though the tank circuit was supposed to run it. But it was a good, you know, 20 meter amplifier for sure. My switching relay was just a plain old, probably a 12 volt double pole, double throw relay. Trying to remember all the pieces. You can see the tubes there in the back, in the bottom half there, and the filament choke in there. And I think my relay, my switching, was probably in the center there. I see a small transformer. That was I don't know what that small transformer. It's been a while since I built that. I built it a number of years ago. But it turned out fair. You know, it turned out pretty good. Probably didn't need that fan, but I put that fan in there anyway to try to, you know, move a little air across the tubes. All right, guys, it's getting late. I'm thinking about getting out of here. Thinking about getting out of here and getting me a snack and see what's on TV. I think you guys are going to enjoy having Martin on the show. He's going to bring a lot of interesting things to the show weekly when he can be on. All right, guys, good night. We'll see you later.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.